For any of you raising boys, I just need to let you know that my two daughters will run roughshod over your boys unless you teach them how to be leaders. My name is Jason, and I'm living a really enjoyable life ever since I decided to live intentionally. And my goal is to see just how far I can go with that, how great I can make my life, and to bring others along with me and encourage them to live more intentionally as well. So I'm out here at the park. It's a Saturday morning, just finished trail running with my kids, which is one of my favorite things to do. And not a lot of people out here because it's about 40 degrees, 45 degrees maybe, so it's warming up. Anyway, I'm not going to say in general that your boys' feelings don't matter, but sometimes they don't. Our kids need to do things that are challenging and that they don't want to do. Perfect example, running. We run regularly as a family. One of my sons does not like to run. Doesn't matter. He'll grumble about it, but he knows by now that that's just what we do. We do hard things as a family. And for my older boys, thankfully they don't resist it, but they have to lift weights, so it didn't matter if they want to or not. They need to be strong. Young men need to grow up to be strong. They've been given different physical characteristics, and they need to exercise those characteristics so that they can live up to who they're supposed to be. I had these neighbors, these friends of ours, and they had two teenage boys that were just, I'm sorry, but they were pathetic. They looked like, you remember Mr. Burns from The Simpsons? These kids could just be pushed over. They had very thin bones, they were frail. And their mom, who obviously ran the show because they had a very weak dad, so their mom had to run the show, she didn't make them do things that they didn't want to do. I knew that they had passes to the gym that we used to go to. Saw her there a few times when I was working out with my sons, and she never had her boys with her. And so I said, hey, do you want me to bring your sons to the gym? No, they don't want to. And it's just like, wow, sometimes you got to make your kids do things that they don't want to do because it's good for them, right? That's our responsibility as parents. Men need to be strong, and so there's a good place to start. If you're in this situation where you're raising a boy, make them do physical things. Make them get exercise. The harder, sometimes the better. For example, I make my kids do pull-ups because pull-ups is the hardest exercise that I can think of. And when they are able to do pull-ups starting from nothing, they feel better about themselves, increases their confidence. It's good for them all around. Men are supposed to stand for principle. They're supposed to have the courage and the confidence and the capability to do that. We had some friends over the other day, and my son was telling them that I'm confrontational. And then he clarified that, not in a contentious way, but he's right, I am confrontational. I will call things out when I see that things are not right. I'll give you an example. My son, when he was must have been about 15, he was pressure washing our driveway, and our neighbor across the street, pressure washers make a lot of noise, our neighbor across the street came out, and all I knew about this guy was that he was an angry alcoholic. The cops had been to his house several times. He was a retired Army, big dude, a little taller than me, a little thicker than I was, and he was always fighting with his wife. You could always hear him screaming. So naturally, he was irritated by the sound the pressure washer was making. He comes out and he yells at my kid. And I wasn't there. I didn't hear it happen. And my son came inside and, he was all upset and told me about it. And so it's my duty as his dad to show that I'm sticking up for him. So I went and I confronted the man. I went and knocked on his door and called him out. And again, I didn't do it in a contentious way, but it was like, hey, you can't be talking to my kid that way. I would not have been able to do that if I didn't exercise and carry myself in a way where I felt confident in confronting people that needed to be confronted. So exercise does things for you mentally. It prepares you for challenging situations. By the way, long story on this. A few days later, he ended up paying my son $100 to pressure wash his driveway. And he moved recently, and he's still in touch with me. So just to show you, it's not about being contentious. It's about having the confidence to be confrontational when you need to be. And we can't talk about raising boys unless we talk about video games. My kids are not allowed to play video games. They have some games on their computers, but we have no gaming consoles in the house. Never had them, and we never will have them because it makes boys weaker. If you look at what China has done, China has significantly limited, I think to 1 or 2 hours a weekend is what they allow their boys under 18 to play. Where here in this country, oh, I gotta tell you this. So our new neighbor, who will probably never watch this video because I know a little bit about his personality. He's a nice guy, but our new neighbor, they have a son who's the same age as my son, okay? And when we met him the other day, he goes, oh yeah, you'll probably never see my son out here though, because he's always inside doing VR. He's really into gaming. And I just thought, well, and you're okay with that? Because he said it in a way that implied that he was okay with it. I thought that was pretty sad. When my kids, within days of moving here, I bought them an axe, and they went to the pond literally right across the street from both of our houses, chopped holes in the ice, and caught fish, pulled fish out of the ice. And they wanted fishing poles, and I said, you don't need poles. I bought them some string. And they got some branches out of the woods behind our house. They made fishing poles and they caught fish. And here this little boy comes home from school and he sees them, gets off the bus, 11 years old, and he's not intrigued, not interested in going ice fishing with another little boy his age. There's kind of something wrong with that. It didn't used to be that way. I hope you guys can see that. I played a little bit of games when I was a kid. I understand they can be enjoyable, but it's a waste of time. Nothing about playing video games makes you better. I know some people like to say, well, it's good for relaxation. How about get outside? Do something that can actually improve your well-being. You're not gonna gain anything from video games. So dads, hopefully you're not playing video games and setting that kind of example for your kid. If you are, it's not too late to stop. Now let's talk about fitness for dads. How can you be in a position to lead your family really in any way if you can't take care of your own health? I know that some people like to say that you cannot look at somebody and determine what type of discipline they have, and we know that's just not true. It might make some people feel good to hide behind that, but it's just not true. And if you're not disciplined as a dad, then how are you going to lead your family? How are you going to be able to influence your kids the way they need to be influenced? It's hard to be a dad, okay? It's hard to do everything that you have to do. Sometimes I have to do things differently or slower or at another time than I would want to do them because I make my kids do them with me so they can learn and be stronger. Yesterday, so we just moved into this house, and yesterday we were doing another run to the cardboard recycling and loading up the truck, taking the cardboard to the bins. And one of my sons said, oh, I don't have to go because I went the last couple times. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't have to go because you went the last couple times? There's work to be done. Get the cardboard in the truck and get in the truck. That's just how it works, right? And he puts his head down, but it doesn't matter. We have to make our kids do things that they don't want to do. That's part of our responsibility. If we don't do those things now, the hard things now, and we don't raise an actual man, then we're going to be cleaning up our mess probably for the rest of their life. That's going to be a lot more work. We need to teach boys to speak up as well. And you don't have to be a dad of boys to do this. If you're talking to a young man and they're mumbling and you can't understand what they're saying, tell them that. Tell them they need to speak up because you can't understand them. It's not acceptable. We shouldn't just be polite all the time, okay? Handshaking. Man, teach your boys how to shake hands, okay? They know how to hold video game controllers tight when they get excited. So teach them how to shake a man's hand and to look a man in the eye. That's a serious problem with video game kids. A lot of these kids do not know how to look somebody in the eye. Another thing while I'm on it, sports. If you are a sports watching dad, if that is your thing, then you got to make sure that you're well-rounded in other areas as well. I do not watch sports. Where do I have time to fit sports in when I'm raising men? There's no time for that. Something as insignificant as sports that just don't matter, and getting caught up in the fantasy of living through other people, and that's just not important enough to take my time when I could be doing things, teaching my kids things that make them better, or doing things that make me better. I don't follow sports. And I'm really glad for the example that my dad set of not being a sports fan, because the biggest sports fans I know are actually really disappointing dads, to be honest with you. Okay, some hard truths, but I'm not telling you anything that you didn't already know, like deep down, okay? The good news is it's not too late. You can work on this. Video games, just get rid of them. They're not good for your kids. Replace them with something more productive that's going to make them better. Make your kids exercise. Doesn't matter if they want to or not. That's your job. You need to build strong boys to grow up to be strong men. Make them exercise and do it with them. Sports, I know all the guys do it because I can't have conversations with most men because that's all they want to talk about. But you really got to take a look at your life and think about if that's something that adds value to your life or not. I hope you got something out of this. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. So please leave a comment, and thank you for watching.